So you may have heard of stack and reach before as it relates to your bike fit or frame sizing, but they can actually be a little more complicated. So today we're gonna dive into the nuances of stack and reach, what they are, and how they impact your fit. Let's go.
Welcome to MyVeloFit, the world's first online AI-powered bike fit. Built by bike fitters for all riders.
So stack and reach are really popular terms that you'll see in a lot of geometry charts or referred to during bike fits. But today we're gonna kind of pull them apart and help you really understand what they are, what they mean, and how they impact your fit. So the first thing you might be asking yourself is, why do we use stack and reach at all? There's been lots of geometry measurements used to describe fit or frames over the years, and stack and reach are relatively new to the game, but have become really well established as kind of like primary measurements to use. So the most important thing to remember is that stack and reach are both related at the end of the day to the bottom bracket. And the bottom bracket, the cranks, are the one part of the bike that never moves. It's everything about our fit, how we interact with the bike, are always going to be tied to the bottom bracket and our pedals. So that's why the measurements kind of originate there. So diving in, we'll start by talking about stack. So stack, also referred to as frame stack, is the vertical distance between the center of their bottom bracket and the center of the top of your head tube on the frame. This, largely speaking, determines kind of how tall the front end of your bike is and how upright of a position that bike is going to accommodate. Obviously, smaller bikes are going to have a lower stack, bigger bikes are going to have a higher stack, but you've also got variances depending on the type of bike it is. Classic example would be like an endurance style road bike is going to have a higher stack than a race or an aero style road bike. So that's kind of the description of the frame part, the frame stack. But what's more relevant often when you're thinking about your fit is what's referred to as grip stack. And rather than measured at the top of the head tube, it's the vertical distance to where your hands interact with the handlebars. So on a road bike or any drop bar bike, this is going to be kind of like where the kind of nook of your thumb and forefinger kind of really sit into the hoods. On a flat bar bike, it's going to be where you hold the grips. And even on a triathlon or time trial bike, it's referred to as pad stack or arm pad stack, and it's going to be the stack height, that vertical distance to the arm pads. And essentially, the common theme with all of these is the height to which you're interacting, your main interaction point at the front end of the bike. And it's important to know that because that's really one of the key considerations in determining your position. So why this is important overall is that for every bike, lots of people like to think, okay, great, bikes are really adjustable. It's not that important what the stack measurement is, but the reality is that, your available stack adjustment on any given frame is going to be limited by how many spacers you can put under the stem, which is kind of your primary adjustment that you can use to adjust your stack height. So adding spacers underneath. So if you need a fairly high stack to accommodate your grip, your position, your grip stack, you don't want to get a frame with a low stack and then run out of spacers. Now, there are some ways you can accommodate for that. You can move to a higher angled stem. So commonly on a road bike, you'll get a -6, -7, and at the more extreme end, -17 degree stems. And you can either flip those, so you can have a +6 or 7, or even +17, +45 if you need a really upright position. But in an ideal situation, you're really kind of maintaining the normal stem and achieving the desired stack height by adjusting the number of spacers. So that kind of gives you a good overview of stack, the differences between the frame stack and the grip stack. Just like with stack, we also have grip reach, which is the horizontal distance between the bottom bracket and the point on your handlebars or your aero bars that you're contacting the bike. So again, kind of the nook of your hand on anything with drop bars at the hoods, or where you hold the grips on a flat bar bike, etc. Now, reach is going to determine kind of how stretched out you are in the bike, how far away the handlebars feel. And just like with stack, as the frame sizes get bigger, the reach gets bigger. And similarly to kind of the comparison between an endurance bike and a race road bike, with stack heights, reach is often also goes that way. So more endurance-oriented bikes are going to have a shorter reach, and racier bikes are going to have a longer reach. So they're both getting taller and shorter for an endurance bike, lower and longer for a race bike. Your primary adjustment for reach is going to be through stem length. And then again, on drop bar bikes, the main thing we want to think about as well is that handlebars, every different handlebar has a reach, And you can also adjust your reach through swapping out the handlebars. So you've got stem length, handlebar reach, and then the final one is the hood reach. And this is not one you can adjust really unless you're changing the group set, but it's just important to know because every group set has a slightly different reach. And so kind of understanding if you're changing bikes, especially between Shimano and SRAM, it's nice to know that you may have a different reach at the hoods. So even though maybe it was the same frame, same stem, same handlebars, the hood reach could actually impact a little bit. So now that we've talked about the basics of stack and reach, I'm gonna dive a little bit into how they relate and interrelate with each other when you're making adjustments on the bike. So the first thing is related to raising or lowering your stem. When you're trying to increase or decrease your grip stack, this is going to have an effect on your reach as well, even if it doesn't seem like it. That's basically because your head tube is at an angle. So as you move your stem up or down, it's actually moving it either as you go up, it's moving it rearward, so it's shortening your reach, or as you move it down, it's moving it forward and it's lengthening your reach. And this may seem pretty minimal, but once you actually get to it, especially if you're kind of increasing or decreasing the stack by 20 millimeters or something like that, it actually can be quite a noticeable impact to your reach. Similarly, when you're decreasing or increasing reach, this is generally, again, we'll say it's through a stem length change. This can also have impacts to your stack height, though a little bit smaller. So to summarize, make sure you understand the difference between frame stack and reach and grip stack and reach when you're evaluating new bikes or just different bikes. Make sure you document your grip stack and reach so you can adjust other bikes to match your position. Dive in and really understands the adjustments you can make for adjusting your grip stack and reach. So stem length, stem height, stem angle, handlebar reach, and hood positioning. And if you're curious about what some of those adjustments will do before you make them on your bike, we've got a free stem length calculator that you can check out. It's in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and a subscribe, and you can follow us on socials at MyVeloFit anywhere. I'm Justin. See you next time.